Hi guys, I want to try to give you a few pointers that I think are going to help you with completing your last practical assignment for the course. If you look at the Labyrinth website, you'll notice that you're into the intermediate skills in the program. So what we've learned up to this point has been the basic skills. You've learned how to write reports, how to write letters, how to create tables. So maybe, or I should say, some of the basics. But now you're getting into more of the complicated stuff. I think that creating the brochures was touching on being a little bit complicated. A few of you created flyers instead of brochures, and that's easy to do. So that's something that takes a little bit of skill, but mail merging is something that I think really sets into the intermediate realm. So our assignment for this week, again, you've got to complete the Labyrinth website, the project grader, so make sure that you complete that. If you don't complete the Labyrinth website, then no matter how perfect your Moodle assignment is, you cannot earn all of the points. So make sure that you do both parts of the assignment. So for this assignment, you need to complete the Extend Your Skills W5E1 exercise in your Labyrinth Learning textbook. It's on page 148 of the book. My directions tell you how to save the different documents that you're going to be required to upload. The college has changed the capability inside of Moodle so that you're able to upload the documents that you need to for this particular assignment. Okay, so make sure that you get everything done before you turn it in. So the assignment says on W5E5, that's the way I see it. You're planning a field trip for the 5th grade class and that you teach, creating a permission letter informing parents of the field trip and how it relates to students' schoolwork. Example, visiting an aquarium after school, after studying about ocean life. Include a request for parents to sign and return the letter, and then save the letter, and it tells you how. And of course, I tell you how to in the directions. Then you need to create a 3-record data source with parent names and addresses and other variables you need. And then you need to insert merge codes into the form letter and merge the main document. And then you need to save the merged document and create an envelope main document with return address and merge it into a data file and then save that. So we're going to go over each of the steps. So the first step that you need to do is create the letter. So I've created a letter here. I actually used some help from one of the students who's already submitted this. So I made some changes to that particular student's letter. I thought that the student did a great job with it. So I've just done here, it's Dear, in this here where I'm going to put my merge code. So Dear, as your student has surely shared with you, the class has been learning about the American voting process. And then I tell them a little bit about the things that they can expect from the field trip. Here's what they need to do to be eligible to attend. And here's some more information. Here's my signature or the principal's signature. Enclosure, because the letter is going to have an enclosure, that's going to be the field trip permission slip, the field trip permission form here for them. Okay, so you want to create a letter, create the field trip permission form, and then you want to save this as W5E1, your last name, field trip LTR. You want to get in the habit, if you're going to use mail merging, of saying LTR, using that LTR when you save the letter portion of it, and then doing the DATA for the data portion of it. That way, if I have field trip LTR, field trip data, I know that those two go together. So if I have lots of files that I'm using, it won't be hard for me to find the two that go together. So remember from your textbook that there's components of mail merge that are the main document, which we've created here. Then the data source, it's the data that you're going to put into this document. So instead of having to type this, this is funds for 200 students. So if I had 200 students that I needed to type this and send to, I don't want to have to type 200 different letters. So this is a way to create one form letter, create your data source. You can make changes to the data and your letter's going to stay intact. And then you're going to merge the two together. So you have your letter, you have your data, and then the last step for you is to merge those two together. So what you want to do then is go in the textbook to page 126, and it's going to talk to you about working with the data source and creating your data source. So here for this letter, we need to create a data source. So I am going to go to mailings, and then I'm going to say select or start mail merge, and then it's going to be a letter. So here's the letter I'm going to use, and then I'm going to say select recipients. And then this is where I could choose an existing list. So if I already had a list of all of my students and their parents' names and the information I needed, I could use that existing list. But for our case, I need to type a new list. Okay. I'm going to customize the columns here because I know what it is that I want to use in this document. So I'm going to go ahead and customize it. And I believe that it says in your assignment to create a 3-record data source for parent names, addresses, and any other variables you choose. Customize the data source with only the column headings you need. So I'm going to click on customize the columns. So I'm going to use the title. So it'll be Mr. or Mrs., the first name, the last name. I don't need a company name, so I'm going to delete that. I'm going to keep address 1. Address 2 would be if they had an apartment number, so I'll leave that. I want city, state, and zip code. I do not want a country or region. I'm going to leave home phone number here and work phone number here and email address here because I may need it at some time. For this particular assignment, I don't need it, but that leaves it open so I could go back in and add it. But I do want to add the child's first name, and then I want to add child last name. Let me tell you also why it has first name, last name, and address broken down in address, city, state, and zip. If I wanted to say, Dear Mr. Jones, if I just have name for the parent's name, then it's going to say, Dear Mr. John Jones. I can't separate those. Or if I want to say, all of the children from Hesperia will be attending this. Well, if I have everything together as the address, I can't say Hesperia. I can't pull out somebody just from Hesperia. And the same with the child's first name, last name. If I want to say Johnny's going to come to the, is invited, I have to say Johnny Smith unless I have them separated. So it's best to break them up into as small of a section as you can because you never know what you're going to use them for. Okay, so I'm going to say okay there. And then it wants me to add 3 sources. So Mr. John Jones. When I get to the end of the first record that I've added, I just hit tab and it's going to bring me down to my next one. So I'm going to go ahead and fill those in. So I have all 3 of my sources in here. I'm going to click on OK. I'm going to save it. So the first thing I need to do is select my recipients. So I'm going to choose an existing list. So I'm going to go to where I know I have my data stored. I'm going to open that up. And then I need to start putting the fields into my letter. So I'm going to insert mail merge letter fields. So I'm going to put a address line here. So I can use the address of the information I have. So I'm going to say insert an address line here. So that's the address block, and it's going to be an address block that'll have the title, the name, and address of the person. And then here I'm going to say dear, and it's the parent, so I'm going to put dear title, and then so dear, whoops, I'm sorry. And then I'm going to put a space. Well, let me add this first. Dear last name. We'll put a space in there. And then a colon because it's a business letter. Dear, so we'll say Dear Mr. Jones or Dear Mr. Smith or Dear Mrs. And then down at the bottom, I want to say your signature below gives your consent for, and I want the student's name here. So here I'm going to insert the first name, and then I want to insert their last name, so your signature below gives your consent for child, the first name, last name, to participate in the class field trip. Okay? And then you're going to finish and merge. I never go to print documents. I always go to edit individual documents. That way it's not going straight to the printer. You also have the ability to save the edited document. So once you have your 20 or 30 letters or whatever it is, you can save that group of letters if you so choose to. Also, there's a mistake. Sometimes you don't notice your mistake right here, but you do notice a mistake once you put those letters together. So I say edit individual documents, and I want them all. And here we go. So I have Mr. John Jones, his address, Dear Mr. Jones, and then down here at the bottom it should have, see right here, I didn't leave that space. So I want to go back to my original letter, and I would go in and I'd put a space after the child's last name. That way I don't have to do it on every single letter, and then I would go back through and do my mail merge all over again. Okay, so that's the benefit of not sending them straight to the printer. I didn't notice that I didn't put that space there. So for the assignment, you're going to save this merged letter. So you'll save it as field trip letter merged, your last name letter merged. So you're going to save that and submit that as part of your documentation for the assignment as well. The last thing that you need to do for this assignment is to create the field trip envelope. So you're going to create a merged document for the envelope. So you're going to start with Start Mail Merge. And this is going to be an envelope. And you want to go to page 135 of your textbook as well, because that's going to walk you through the steps of creating that mail merge for the envelope. So you've done mailing, start the mail merge, start mail merge, and then select envelopes. I chose size 10 as the envelope, and then I said okay. Then I'm going to go to mailings, and then I'm going to go to start mail merge, and I'm going to say, select recipients and use an existing list. And I'm going to go back to that original list that I had. And say okay. I could have here my return address. So again, with this one, I want to use I put my return address up here. Then I want to go to the center of my document. I'm going to do the address block, which I inserted from here. Then I'm just going to say finish and merge. Again, it